Welcome back for episode 5 of The Last of Us season 2.
Episode 5, over halfway. Four to go.
This is true. Yes, because 4 is more than 50%. 5 is more than 50% of 9.
That's correct. We got 9 episodes this season. And
See, I can math.
math is easy and it's fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible at math.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, anytime my daughter needs help with math, it's straight my wife.
Yeah.
Not me. I can't do it.
Yeah. Or a calculator.
So anyway, we're not here to talk about math.
Sorry. No.
Okay. We are here to talk about episode 5. And the name of the episode is, I know we haven't been doing that, but it's called Feel Her Love.
Feel Her Love, referring to the Seraphites or the Scars, which
okay, that's what it. Oh yeah, that's right. That's what it said on the the mural.
Their savior, their patron saint, or whoever it is.
So she is who they she's like their pope type thing.
Yeah,
not really pope, but the cult leader.
Their deity, I guess. Not even a deity. I don't know. Okay. Their leader.
Their leader.
The founder. I was just thinking about this, something that I don't know if we've ever mentioned, but we don't talk about these before.
Yeah, we do not. This is fresh.
We watch and we don't discuss until we get here for you people.
Right, for the 25 that watch.
That's right. For both of y'all. This is for y'all. This is all fresh and not pre-discussed and not pre-planned. So yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that. I wanted to mention that.
Yep, that is true. We intentionally do not speak of. Okay, so this episode begins with
we start with the WLF, right?
Yes. The Asian girl, I don't know her name.
She's kind of like I don't know the military ranking.
Right, one of the
whatever. She's one of the.
Her name is Elise Park.
Right.
And she's like smoking a cigarette. It looks like she's about to get interrogated.
Right.
And then the boss, I guess, walks in, who is, I don't know.
Who is not Isaac. We didn't see Isaac, and I didn't like that. I wanted, when it started with the WLF, I said out loud, all right, more Isaac. But then there's no Isaac. He wasn't.
Is that there to show how inaccessible he is? Like for the audience to feel like, okay, not just anybody, or you're not going to see Isaac just anytime?
I think they may be saving him because something, there's going to have to be a third season. They're not going to cover everything from the second game in this one season. There's still a lot. So I'm thinking maybe we'll get more Isaac later on, but definitely in a third season is what I'm thinking. Because this sets up, she's talking about how she sent a squad into B2 of the hospital to clear it out or whatever. And one of the soldiers you find out ends up being her son.
Her son, right?
And he called her on the walkie-talkie and was having trouble breathing and couldn't speak. And then
which I didn't see coming. I had kind of heard rumors that they might, but I wasn't sure if they were actually going to do it.
Well, the first thing that I thought, I guess I can't really say that because it's kind of a spoiler. We don't know. I originally thought one thing that happens in the game that happens much later. And it happens in the basement of the hospital. But then she starts talking about the breathing and everything. And then later on, you find out that we get introduced to the spores.
He told her it's in the air.
Right.
And because he couldn't breathe, he was coughing. And he said, seal us in.
Right.
Because basically knowing that there's no way y'all can get us out. We're not going to survive this. You have to seal us in.
For the good of the group.
And so she did what would be very difficult for anyone to do, not only for a soldier that they lead, but her son.
Not to mention it's her son, yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, well played. The girl doing the questioning, I think she did a really good job. Like you said, at first you think it's going to be an interrogation, like maybe she's in trouble. And then it was
like a debriefing, like what the hell happened.
Right. And then she finally says, well, you did what you could. You made the right choice. And then as she's walking out, it was almost kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like, hey, sorry
about your son. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a neat little opening scene, which they've had a bunch in the series.
Yeah, in the first
opening
season,
scenes have been
the
really
opening
good.
Scene of episode 1 is probably the best scene in the whole damn series.
Yeah, they show the like the beginning of the bombings.
Yeah, they were
talking
and they were talking about the it's not a virus, right? It's a
fungus.
It's a fungus, and talking about how the fungus could potentially jump to humans if the Earth temperature got hot enough, and they kind of explained the science of how it could happen.
Yeah, and everyone was like,
yeah, whatever.
It
was a neat scene.
Yeah,
it was a neat scene.
Yeah, we digress.
So after that, you go back to Ellie and Dina, and you hear Dina listening to the radio traffic.
Yeah, she's plotting.
And she's triangulating with triangles.
Right. She's triangulating positions and figuring out patrol routes and where people are and this and that.
And I thought it was really neat how they say it's obvious they're not afraid to say everything on the radio because they don't think anybody's listening, because the Seraphites don't do that.
They're Luddites. They have no use for technology.
They're like the Amish.
They talk about the Amish, and they I think Isaac had alluded to that. I mean, you see it, but Isaac had talked about that too when he was interrogating the guy in the last episode about, we have tanks and guns, and y'all have bows and arrows and primitive, and so that's kind of neat. They related it to something that we know
that we can relate
to. The Amish thing. That's kind of neat. I like this episode and I don't. It's kind of like that. The last one. I'm struggling with Ellie.
And look, that's the biggest thing.
With Bella Ramsey. It's just I'm trying.
Well, I don't think it's
doing it for me for the most part.
I don't think it's just Bella Ramsey. I just don't think that she's written very well.
No,
I think that the dialogue they give her and
this episode,
you don't
all
like
of a
her.
sudden, I don't.
Yeah,
and this episode, all of a sudden, she's all kind of like playful and jokeful, and I don't think we've seen that yet before. And like, where does that come from? I don't understand that choice to
14-year-old Ellie, maybe, but not
now, and not what they're dealing with, and all the things, and the pregnancy, and all this. Like, they've got some really hard choices.
Yeah, like Dina's taking it more seriously now than Ellie was. It was very weird. But I was talking to my nephew about it today. He hadn't watched the whole thing yet, but I'm like, dude, it's just crazy how I really don't care what happens to Ellie. I just don't want something to happen to Dina.
Well, when this episode started, I said that to myself. I was like, okay, good. We get some WLF. We get something else, because I don't really care about what's happening to Ellie. I was like, good. This episode is going to be about something else. And then it wasn't.
well, let me take a step back. That's how I was feeling for the majority of the episode, and we'll get into it.
Yeah. One thing I did not understand, and it kind of completely took me out of it, when they're walking down the street and they're talking about, well, should we go back? And And Dina tells her, like,
she gives Ellie the choice.
Right. She gives Ellie the choice, and she basically tells her, like, I think you're doing the right thing, but I'm going to follow you. Let's go get him. Why would they not have had that conversation before they're walking through the streets of Seattle? First of all. Second of all, you're surrounded by infected. You're surrounded by WLF. Why are y'all walking in the middle of the street in broad daylight, talking as loud as you possibly can?
It's not tactically sound.
Took me. They went through all this trouble to triangulate positions and all this other stuff, and then took me out of it.
Yeah,
completely took me out of it. Kind of like in episode 3 of the first season, when he's standing in the middle of the street,
shooting. Right? Like, why is he not behind cover?
Training guy.
He's got all these weapons. He's using a bolt action rifle in the rain, standing in the street. So it's quite obvious that the writers really have no clue what someone who has a tactical or some kind of training mind would do in a situation like that.
And I mean, even not even that, I agree with you, but not even that, just like common sense in the situation that they're in.
Pretty much any other movie or show, they wouldn't be doing that.
Right. They'd be sneaking around and trying to lay low, and they're just out lottie-dottie and having a loud ass conversation in the middle of the street.
It's just bad writing.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I didn't writing. It really, really took me out of it. And it took me a while. It took a minute to get back.
Like you were pissed off.
I rolled so hard that it took me a little while to get back.
So, okay, getting past that, they end up in I guess the building that they realized WLF was avoiding.
Yes.
And they're thinking, oh, there's just a few in here. More than likely, nothing we can't handle.
Which,
and then
you
it's
can
like,
kind of see that's not
the case. They wouldn't be avoiding it for any reason.
Right.
And then the stalkers are in there.
The stalkers are in there, which is one of the coolest parts of the show. We've only got to see them a couple of times, but
this was an ambush.
This was an ambush. At first they see one,
and they're like, "Oh, we got this."
3, and then there's like 11.
Yeah.
And Ellie sacrifices himself. He should go in the cage. I got this, and but another. It's plot armor. I get it, but you're looking at a soldier who's been ripped in half, and they all get on Ellie, and somehow she survives long enough to escape.
Yeah. So did that happen in the game?
No. So in the game, Dina doesn't leave the theater in the game. Ellie goes out on her own, if I remember correctly. Dina doesn't leave the theater. She's sick. She's pregnant. She's all this other stuff. She doesn't leave the theater. Ellie does, someone comes in to save the day, and you think, well, it's got to be either Tommy or somebody from the sound. It ends up being Jesse. That does kind of happen in the game, not in that setting, but Jesse does show up and
save their butts,
save the day, and
her butt.
They get together, and but no, Dina's nowhere near any of that. Which
I do like how she got a reality check when after they escape, and she says, we were doing just fine. He says, until when?
Until we weren't. Yeah.
And she's like, until we weren't.
And he's upset about with her, and that was all well done. And backing up a little bit before that, you get to see the kind of yin and yang with Ellie and Dina again, because Dina does all the planning and everything, but when it's time to do gangster stuff, Ellie says,
you run over there.
I got this. I'm the muscle. I'm the violent one. So that was kind of neat. That was a neat thing to see. Different. So I guess she did get bit again,
right? She started screaming. I think she did get bit, like on her stomach or something.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing that.
But maybe not. Maybe she was just screaming because out of fear or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that she got bit, but they did get saved, and then the WLF shows up.
Yeah, and start shooting at them, and of course, they don't hit anybody.
Right.
I don't want to hear nothing about stormtroopers.
Of course not. Then they get to the woods. They get to the park, and the WLF is like,
hell
nope,
no. Yeah,
I'm not going in there.
And then you see why.
And then you see why
they see the Seraphites.
Right.
Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, the Seraphites. Yeah.
They see them. Basically, they're disemboweling this guy, but who is he? Is he WLF?
I think he's just a WLF soldier. You get to see what they did in the TV station with the hanging bodies.
And they actually showed it. I was like, oh, wow. They actually showed it.
Which is, again, in the game, but it was Ellie by herself.
Okay.
So, they see that and they have a holy crap moment. They got found out, and then Dina gets shot.
Dina gets the arrow in the leg.
Dina gets an arrow in the leg.
Jesse takes her.
Jesse runs away. No one follows him.
Right.
They all follow
Ellie, but she starts shooting in the air to get their attention.
She got their attention. I couldn't
Too
stop
convenient.
Thinking about, I need a hero. You ever heard that song?
Mm-hmm.
Someone, I just kept thinking about Jesse running through the woods holding Dina with an arrow sticking out of her leg. I had a mental image. I need a hero.
Yeah, I don't know the word.
So I don't know it. So Jesse and Dina are obviously, I guess, going back to the theater.
Yeah.
Ellie's gonna meet up with them, and they're gonna regroup.
But then she sees
the hospital.
The hospital.
And she knows,
which is where they were going.
That's where they were going. She knows Nora's in there, and she finds Nora, and she does terrible things. The chase scene thing was really neat.
So whenever she first confronts Nora, and she's asking, where is Abby?
Mm-hmm.
And Nora starts to pretend like she's gonna cry and she's scared. Any of that happen in the game?
Yeah,
she does the same thing.
That's how it went down.
Oh, that's cool.
How it went down. Very well done. Very well recreated. Everything down to the chase scene. There's a chase where you're running through the hospital and people
trying to catch her
at you, and she's taking shortcuts, and you got to jump through a window and all this other stuff. So that all happened.
going down the elevator shaft to get to the lower level.
The shaft discovering the spores, which we finally get the spores.
That was a great scene. I thought it looked great.
Yes.
The way, so they chase her. I mean, they've seen this episode.
Yeah.
So when they chase her and they get down there and you see the people, they're obviously using them to spread the spores. Is that in the game as well, or is that show specific?
That's the source of the spores.
That's the source.
That's the source of the spores. They get kind of cocooned, I guess.
Yeah, like an alien. It looked like Alien.
Exactly what I thought about.
And they're there for life. They're just there to breathe spores.
Yeah. And
that's pretty terrible.
She corners her and she refuses to go the red light, down to the red light and everything.
This was the best scene in the episode to me. I enjoyed seeing this side of Ellie.
Yeah.
Ruthless.
She got me back a little bit. She pulled me back in a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, So
you get to beat the crap out of her like that in the game? Where is she?
You get a pipe and it's a cutscene, but
okay. So you don't get to actually the beating?
I don't think so, if I remember correctly. It's a cutscene.
Oh, like in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can like beat people and interrogate
it's
them.
not like that. They have the whole thing and she refuses to tell her and she pays for it.
She never does tell her.
No,
she beats her to death.
She beats her to death, and they just move on to the next one on the list. And that's kind of how it ended. I saw the little preview for the next episode.
I did too, actually. It's the first time I've seen a preview for the next episode.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I wouldn't have. I would have liked to have been surprised, but I accidentally saw it.
Yeah.
Because I think if you just keep watching it, like watching the credits, it ends up showing you next on.
It'll show you the next, and then after that, they'll have like a breakdown from the writers and all that.
Yeah, I watched it, which is, like I said, this is the first time I watched it. Yeah. I guess I just didn't turn it on. Normally I just turn it off at the end of the episode. I didn't do that this time.
Like if you watch it, you watch it on Max, like it'll time out or whatever, unless you go back on the credits. So you get kind of miss it. But I'm pretty sure it looks like we're gonna have the flashback episode.
Yep, the flashback episode. Well, this episode ended with her waking up, right? Like she kind of woke up from a dream and he said, "Hello, kiddo." Yeah. That was the actual episode, the end of the episode.
Right.
It fades to black when she hits Nora.
Yeah.
And then she was waking up and Joel is telling her, "Hello, kiddo."
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, there's the flashback. And then the next.
So I wonder if the flashback scene, if it's anything like the game, that's going to be pretty neat. There's not going to be any action or anything. It's going to be lots of
bonding,
story and bonding. And that's great.
Maybe they'll only do half of the episode or something.
Yeah. But we also, I don't know if they're going to show. So Ellie, I think in this episode said she knows. And Nora told her.
Oh, yeah.
Nora told
we missed
her,
that.
You know what happened.
She's like, I know.
She's like, I know already. I'm kind of hoping that they don't drag that out too much longer. And maybe this next episode, we'll see that sequence of events and how she found out.
And then that's going to be why she's been so crabby towards Joel. Right.
Yeah, because up until now, we don't know that. And just strictly from watching the show, you can figure it out. You can figure it out, but you don't know exactly what happened, how she found out, how it went down. So I'm actually honestly really looking forward to that.
But yeah, so like something we were discussing prior is there's no way this is going to finish in season 2.
No, I think what I think is going to be, they're going to finish Ellie's story, Ellie's half of the story.
Yeah.
And then I think season 3 is going to be the Abby show. I think season 3 is going to be.
But then what you going to do?
It's going to be what Abby's been doing. I mean, like some back and forth maybe, but what Abby's been doing. It's going to run at the same timeline.
Right.
So what Abby's been doing while Ellie's been doing this in season 1, this is what was going on with Abby.
So the end, 3. You're predicting the end of this season to be.
I think the end of this season
right at the beginning of the showdown type thing.
I think the end of this season is going to be like a cliffhanger, like the confrontation.
And then season 3 is going to start day 1.
Season 3 is going to be Abby. After they leave Jackson.
Right. After they kill Joel.
Yeah. That's what I think. she's got a lot of backstory too. There's a lot of stuff, like she's got flashback scenes and stuff in the game that I think are going to translate really well. It's going to,
because if you, for the audience who hasn't played, you play as Abby in the game.
Right. Yeah. She's the playable character in the second half of the game. Actually, most of the game, if I remember. But like I said at the beginning of this season, one of the things that's interesting to me is getting both points of view. You're going to be let in on why she's doing the things she's doing and the kind of relationship she had with her dad and all that stuff. So you're going to feel for her, like you're going to maybe sympathize with her a little bit in the second part of this.
Which was the goal of the second story. Season 1 was Joel and Ellie's story.
Right.
And season 2 was, but you have to see the other side of the coin.
Right.
And
then
different perspective
will be that other side of that coin.
Well, I mean, the second game is what I meant.
Yeah.
The second game was, the first game was, I said season, but I meant game. First game was the Joel and Ellie show. Second one was, but
right.
There's another side, as you know.
And there's still some very important characters that haven't even been introduced yet.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even seen Tommy out and about, which we know he is because what's his name? Jesse said he's out there.
They split up looking for him. I don't want to say too much for people who haven't played. There's still a lot left to cover, and they're not going to do it in 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a season 3. Yeah.
I think we'll get a good way to
milk it.
Well, we kind of know what's going to happen in the next episode, what that's going to be dedicated to, so that after you take that out,
there's only 2 left.
Depending on how much you throw in, there's only 2 or 3 left.
Well, no, this is 5. That'll be 6. So you'll have. So you'll have 3 left. 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
There's just way too much. Unless they severely cut a bunch of stuff out, there's way too much to put in 3 episodes.
Don't want to be a buzzkill, but IMDb says there's a season 3. So
there you go.
It's going to be split up. There's no way that it's going to wrap up,
and that's totally fine. I'm okay with it. And this season's going all right. I feel like I'm a little bit more into this one than
I am too.
The last one.
Yeah, even though it's still not perfect.
Yeah.
It's definitely a better season than last season.
There's more. You have more characters to discover, and there's more going on. And I'll keep saying it. You know, Dina is great.
Dude, she's killing it. She is stealing the show. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So it's enjoyable.
Maybe Joel will help steal some of that thunder back in this flashback episode.
I'm hanging on. I think they're gonna hook us with the next one. I think the next one's gonna be really good.
Well, so far in the entire series, my biggest disappointment, I just feel like we never got enough of Joel. Like it felt so empty.
Yeah.
He was a man of few words, and I don't know, man. It just felt like we never got to see Joel really be Joel, especially after playing the game.
After being the main playable character in the first game.
And the things that you do, and you get so attached to him. And I just felt like you never really got to feel it in the show. Like the audience who hasn't played the game missed out on a lot.
Yeah. Go get yourself a PS5.
Go get yourself a PlayStation, or our PC. You can play it on PC.
Yeah.
And play the game so you can really feel the Joel.
It adds to it. It'd be neat to watch the shows maybe all the way through, and then
maybe so. Maybe I need to watch. I need a refresher to see. But I don't know, man. We were pretty into it and really excited for it, and I'm pretty sure we felt the same way as we were watching it.
Yeah.
I have to go back and listen to our episodes.
Yeah. See if we still feel the same.
And what we were saying, because I don't really remember.
Yeah. I'd kind of forgotten about it, honestly.
Yeah. The whole series is on. It's only on audio, though. It's not on YouTube. It's only on Spotify.
Maybe that's why I don't remember.
All podcasts.
Maybe that's why I don't remember it.
Yeah.
We didn't.
We just did audio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, is that all you got for this one?
I think so. I mean, I can refer to my notes, but I feel like I said
overall,
everything.
It wasn't a bad episode. It was a good episode. It had some really good parts in it.
It was.
But like Nick said, a couple of things took him out and just don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
To be walking in the middle of the street when you're supposed to be these experienced.
Yeah, those things.
Individuals.
Those things kind of took me out of it. I am glad that we finally get the spores. And I think it
was an interesting decision to not do it in the beginning. I don't they had said why, but I don't really remember. I think they didn't want everybody walking around with masks on constantly.
Yeah.
And now, even though they're there right now, it's only kind of,
it's confined.
It's like it's kind of starting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I keep saying it. I'm okay with most of the changes they made. I'm okay with Dina going out with them or her on their little excursion. They I'm not gonna say fixed because it wasn't broken, but she's gonna be back at for some other things that are gonna maybe happen. She's back at the
compound.
She's back at the compound. Ellie got to confront Nora by herself. She's back at the compound. Jesse's back at the theater, the compound. Not the compound, the theater. They're back at the theater. So that sets up. I was kind of wondering, okay, well, if Dina's out with Ellie, then how is this going to happen?
Yeah. Well, now you know.
So now they
just did it a different way.
Right. And that's great. Yeah. Like we talk about, we don't want a carbon copy. I thought that was great. They resolved that.
Yeah.
So the other things that kind of need to happen are still going to be able to happen. So,
cool. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back for next week and see how the flashback scene goes. I'm looking forward to it because I've only seen like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the flashback scene of the game, so I haven't seen the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna build a lot, and it's gonna make a lot of things make sense. And if they do we'll see. There might be some onion chopping going on.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna be well played. I think they'll do it enough to be able to pull some emotion out of some folks. So we'll see.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we will see y'all next week.
See ya.